Alright, so I would like to welcome Jayaprakash, who is an Agile coach at McAfee. So give him a warm welcome, and we'll get started.
Let me take this out. So.
Alright, good luck, JP.
So, okay, thank you. Can I do this so that
Sure.
being agile, so.
F5.
Okay, morning.
Good morning.
So, if you look at the agenda, so it is mentioned as JP from McAfee. Right? It was true till last week or 2 weeks back. Right? I just joined recently in a company called Knowledge Chat. It's we are again in a similar space, like agile training, coaching, and primarily into training. I would say predominantly in the agile space. 80% of business happens. So I'm a passionate agile trainer and coach. So I thought, let me move full time into training business. Right. So that's a quick introduction. So I joined as a VP strategy to drive business there. So my topic is that the way to go for testers. Right. How many of you are testers here? Good. Okay. How many of you are SDETs? SDETs. Who knows what is okay? Good. There is one SDET here.
What is it?
SDET. Okay. So how many of you know what is SDET? Good. There are few who know about this. So my talk is going to be all about this. About the career of testers. Right. I'll tell you what is it. So let me take you to kind of a flashback. When I started my career, like 20 years back, close to 20 years back, there was no tester. When I joined as a developer. There was absolutely no tester. Right? And I was responsible for developing, I was responsible for testing. When I said testing, it was like, make sure that, somehow see to that it works, so that we can release it to your client. And then it is that guy's headache to install, and it will take 3 days to install. I think it has got its own pain. So it will take a couple of days to install. It will, by the time we fix the installation issues, critical P1 to fix come. Right? We had a lot of such issues. Right? Just because the awareness on the quality was really, really low in the industry. Right? And that's where the whole organization, the whole industry thought that, hey, we need testers. We need somebody to sit and really do a testing job. So then there's a huge hiring spree that went ahead. People started hiring testers with just with 2 hands and 2 legs. Some degree we need, right? And do some little analytical skill test, and if they clear that, you will be a tester. And it was very easy job to get compared to any other job in the market. Right? A lot of testers just got in just because they were engineering graduates, and they just want to do something. They want to do some job in software. I have hired people like mechanical, industrial automation and whatnot, right? All kinds of people, because they were good at testing. They were good at analytical skills, right? So why we started hiring? To address this basic software quality issues. Software has really, really fundamental issues. Today it has got a little more mature. It's again a question mark. We still have problems, but the world is complex. It's becoming even more complex day by day, right? So testers were hired. Testers came in. What are the expectations, on these guys? It's about doing functional testing, right? Take one piece, click here, click there, find some defects and log it, right? And then we started introducing something. Let's do integration testing. There are 2 modules. Let's see integration. Right? These are all very famous jargons in the industry, right? So integration testing. Some people, hey bro, so people started doing integration testing. Right? Wow, why do integration testing now? Right? Testers got upgraded now, right? And then the new, terminologies came, like non-functional testing, performance, load, stress, security, and whatnot, right? So when people started doing all that, if I just know how to install OpenSTA, or I know just fundamentals of OpenSCA, I'm a performance tester or a load tester. Right? That's how people started looking at their own career. So the objective of this tester was primarily to find black box defects. Isn't it? Even today, the black box testers, most of us in the testing field, are into black box testing. Right? What is black box testing? I don't know how this implementation is done. I know the feature, what to test. Right? If it doesn't work as it is expected, that's a bug for it. Right? Very, very fundamental. Right? That was expectations, right? And it is still the same expectation. Further, right? Expectation is all about how do I break this system. Break the system and learn about some basic operating system or some of the tools, like what I need to learn. Okay, good, thanks. So, acquire some soft skills and then a checklist of things like interoperability, portability, usability. Right? A few items. I still don't see one good performance tester in a team of 20 testers. Still not. Probably it is a space that I am in. I have a problem, but I have seen this in the last close to 90 years. There are very, very few good non-functional testers really. Okay? They can just run some tools and the tool gives you a problem. Okay, that's a defect. Okay? There are a lot of people in that. Right? So there are a lot of tools also available. You name automation. There are some 20 tools, right? And you talk about any of these non-functional testing. There are 10 tools for each of those verticals. Testers were expected to learn those tools, right? QTP, record and play. You know what happens when people record and play in the QTP? One small change in the application, the whole automation stops, right? There are a lot of defects in your automation script and the product, right? You start fixing those and you end up spending double the time, 3 times more effort, and then at one point, we decide, hey, automation does not work. This solution is not good, throw this, let me bring new one, right? One other intelligent guy comes into the organization, says, now let me start with new, and I'm going to show you a new world. How many of you have done that? This automation multiple times, done it, right? This testers all the time busy learning something or doing this. So, by the way, those testers around here, I'm also from your community, right? Basically, half of my career was in testing, then I moved to agile coaching. So I know the pains that this whole group is going through. Right? So it's all my experience that I have gone through. So what are the few other expectations? Clearly being detached from development. Right? I am a tester here. You are a developer. Let me wait. Right? You are giving me a bill tomorrow morning. Wait, come, give me. Right? We were having this attitude all the time. Right? Let me show you who I am, right? I will log 25 defects. You'll actually go for lunch or you go home and this developer sits and fix any defects. Completely detached, right? And if you see the organization structure also, there is a dev manager, there is a dev lead, QA lead, dev manager, QA manager, senior manager, and finally the reporting structure to the VP. Right? Any escalation go to that guy who's like heading 500 or 1,000 people. Right? That detached we were, right? And our focus was all about having this defect thread, being proud of showing this, see how many open defects still. I will make sure this product does not go out. Right? We are kind of finding defects over defects, and it is also because it is not the problem of the testers, it is also the whole methodology that we are following for a very, very long time. Right? There are jargons like this, it's feature complete, code complete. Right? How many defects? We have only 4 defects, and the testers start testing them. Right? Completes code is fully complete, our feature is fully complete, all the bunch of features to be done is fully done, and then the tester starts testing. That's where the whole defect mountain starts. Right? We had problems, prior to this current job, at McAfee when we started, we had problems where, tomorrow morning is a release and, there are like 300 defects open. And there are all the vice presidents, I have a McAfee sitting here, so I'm sure he's with me, right? So all the vice presidents and senior vice presidents on the call reviewing a defect. So expensive defects, right? There's 6 VPs and 1 senior vice president on the call discussing whether the defect should be fixed or not. The defect is so very expensive, right? And we have like 40 P1 defects. How do we do now? then say, is it P1, P2? Okay, I think it's a P3, right? And that gets degraded to P3, and then our P1, P2 goes down. Right? That's another cool formula people started following, and then release a whole bad quality product. Right? We have learned from the mistakes of releasing such product. Right? And also checklist saying that have you done with this testing, regression testing, functional testing, right? BVT, FVT, right? There's a checklist. Intention was to complete from the testing side that hey, these are all the 20 testing that I have done. Right? Are you sure that it can be released? I'm done with my testing. Don't ask me beyond that. That was another issue that we had, and this whole automation was actually given to another automation team who doesn't even understand the process. Have you seen that happening? Where there is the 5 people who are experts in QTP or Selenium or some skill, and they sit and do automation. Right? They are so good at the tool, but they're probably close to zero knowledge about the product. Right? Just because of that, they kind of created a huge mess in the automation system. Right? Just because they don't understand, they're not automating as a user, they're automating as automation engineers. Right? So there's a lot of problems that industry has. Right? So primarily focused on test defects. Right? We have been focusing on test defects in black box defects. When I say test defects, system test defects, all kinds of black box defects. Okay, so is that the future of test engineers, software testers going forward? What do you guys think? Those testers. Let's make it more interactive, right? Who are the testers here?
Depends on the organization.
Okay, depends on the organization. Okay, but your career is going to be based on the organization, right? Your career is your career finally. Whether you are here or you are somewhere else.
No, it should not be like that. Testers should be more involved in the day-to-day activity with the business owners, understanding the application, understanding the business needs, instead of waiting for the product to be delivered to them to consume.
Exactly. Right. So, what I see is in that part there is some good shift. Right? Testers started understanding the domain slowly. Right? In the past, when I started as a tester, I've seen my colleagues, or even myself, focusing on functional testing. 95% of the time is only on functional testing. That screen is the fields validations are proper or not. Now people started looking at the domain. Right? So definitely that is one aspect that as a tester we should improve. But there is another big change that we need to get into. Right? Industry is changing. All the big product companies are changing today. Name it Google or Microsoft. All these big companies you see, Amazon. Right? They don't have black box tests. They don't hire black box testers anymore. Right? They don't have a culture of developers and testers. They are into engineering culture. I have 3 engineers and they are responsible for this piece of code or this piece of functionality. Right? Be it design, development, testing, non-functional requirements, everything. Right? This bunch of people are responsible. Right? And trust me, in another 5 years, that's where we are going to go. Right? We are not going to stay in a space where you are a developer and I am a tester. Because 20 years back, this did not exist. This developer and testers. It came in the middle, and it is slowly going back because of the maturity. Then why we didn't have testers? Because we didn't have any maturity. Industry had a very low maturity point. And now we have improved, but now we see that engineers can do a lot better instead of having developers and testers. Right? All these organizations, like 90% of the testing group in Microsoft, or over 90%, they're called SDETs, Software Development Engineering Test. They still are under testing group, right? But they're called a Software Development Engineering Test or Software Design Engineering Test, right? Who also has development capability. Right? So what is it we should do? If you are not a tester, if you are managing a team, please look at your testers in these aspects. Going forward, we need to evolve these people to move towards being a good engineer and being a good tester. Because in 5 years it's going to go down. We may not even have testers over a period. It's after, I think services companies may have this for some more time, but over a period that the product companies start demanding, the customers start demanding, I cannot pay for your testers. You're supposed to develop a good product. Why should I pay 30% of the cost for testers? Obviously, they'll start looking at it. And I'm seeing the services company in India are moving to agile. Right? That's a new trend. Quite a few services companies, all the big giants are moving to agile. The reason is because the customers are demanding. And agile needs engineering culture, not a developer and test culture. Right? So you know what's going to happen even in the service industry in the next 5 years, right? So going beyond test defects is what they should be doing. So what does it mean? Okay. There's something. Okay. So why do we need to go beyond? Okay. So why do we need to go beyond test defects? So when this question came 4 years back, we started this journey, right? By one great leader by name Jim, he came up with this concept of having testers doing some level of development work. Right? When I asked this question, I was also confused. Why do you need to go beyond testing, and why do you need to get into development as a tester? Then he gave me a book and said, "You read this book, then come back." Right? This book, which is this book called Economics of Software Quality, which is a very, really, really good book. It talks about how the quality has evolved over a period. This survey was done, this metrics was collected over 600 large projects in US, in software projects. Right? So, if you see here, the efficiency of finding defect removal is clearly mentioned here. The red ones are the system test-based approach, and these blue ones are the early defect approach, which is basically a development practice, a design or a development practice. Right? So if you see formal design inspection, code inspection, static analysis, pair programming, peer review, all these are basically the development practice. This is a pure system test practice, like risk-based testing, regression testing, exploratory testing. Name testing that comes under this red bucket, right? So the maximum number of defects that you can really find in testing is one of the good testing is risk-based testing, right? And again, it cannot be done alone as a tester. It needs a team to get involved, right? Beyond that, I think like a line item by example, regression testing. The maximum you can find defect is only 35 to 40%. And what does regression mean, right? Regression is like thousands of test cases that you need to automate or you need to execute. Automation fails, you start executing. At McAfee, I was responsible for quality of consumer products, right? All the security products. And one regression testing alone was taking around 40 to 45 man-weeks of effort. 45% weeks of effort, one cycle. So if you need to release a product and the testers feel that hey, we need to run one full regression, what is the effort? Right? Even if I just dump 50 people on the job, it takes one full week. Right? And that can still find only maximum 35% of the defects. That is still hidden defects. Because you're still testing the product, not testing the code. Right? There's a huge difference between testing a product and testing the code. Right? So, and it is also proven that effective code reviews, design reviews can help find a lot more defects than, close to double the defects than the test defects, than regression testing or any of the testing practice. So this is very, very clearly visible that testers cannot just take. Testers need to be part of something else, some of the development practices. And this is the data from over 600 large projects. And that is where we started. Actually, trust me, we actually have gone through a journey and we have seen this kind of results. We have seen the results like 75%, 80% of the defects found through development practice, like code review, design review, static analysis, things like that. So, and we have moved a bunch of testers to this kind of jobs. Okay, so, this is all my experience at the end. So, tester skills going beyond testing, right? What are the skills you require? Agile Scrum keep talking about cross-functionally skilled people, right? If we want a self-organized, cross-functionally skilled team to drive true Agile project. So what does cross-functional skill mean? Let me give you an example, right? Look at this. These are four different departments. Emergency right? A medical system, right? There is a police, there is a traffic patrol, there is a fire. These are all 4 different groups, right? So, and you take anywhere in the world, they are all 4 different departments. They have specialized skills and they just function as expected. Right? There is one in one place, I have seen, in Sunnyvale in US. This is one department takes care of all 4. So one good example, I'm just trying to relate what does cross-functional skill mean, outside our boundary. Right? This one group of people are responsible for all of this. And they don't have 5 people in all 4, they probably have 10 people who are skilled to do all of that. Right? And they have beautifully managed till today. And they are probably more effective, efficient than, compared to the all other states or all other regions in the US. Right? So they are slowly adapting to this. The US, right? This department is slowly adapting. Yeah.
There could be a misconception, isn't it? For example, let's talk about a cross-functional. For example, in a project team, right? If a development guy is doing development for the last 5-6 years, then there are a lot of chances that he will make the code correct, right? Rather than if a person who is actually doing maybe coding, testing, and preparation, whatever it is, he may not be doing 100%. He will be doing 60-70% of it, right?
It may not even be 60%.
It may not be even 60%.
Yeah, maybe
right?
10-20%.
So as a person from the group cost perspective, it's going to be less definitely. But from the efficiency perspective, if you look at that, the previous model is better.
I'll just hold on to this, right? I mean, surely I have an answer to this. Right? I'll share some of my experience. Right? This was a space that I was for a very long time. Right? My leader changed my perception. This one guy who was heading the quality changed my perception of this. I'll share that experience. Right? Just a few slides that I have to answer your question. And you're right. This is if you don't deal with this problem in the right way, definitely we're going to have more expensive effects, in terms of quality, in terms of effort. Everything is going to be a lot tighter. Right? I'll address this question. Okay? So the skill boundary was all about let me just put this in a box that few of them I put it. Actually, you can search software testing in Google. You will find another 100 more terminologies that you can actually fill in this black box. Right? We're all inside this black box. There's a lot of stuff that we do. Right? So that's a boundary that we have today. So let me just start looking at what does it mean for a tester, right? Before even going to what does a cross-functional skill mean. Right? So in the industry again, I have seen most of the testers are again functional testers. Right? They don't have the depth. Right? There is you guys know what is a T skill, right? In agile world, is very common terminology. Right? There are very, very few in the organization or in the team who go really deep in some areas. Right? I've seen, most of the Scrum teams have 2 testers, and they both are functional testers. They both are regression testers. Okay, can you do performance? Okay, I can run some performance. Right? Security, no. It's a very scary word. Right? It does not exist in the industry today, or maybe 0.01%. People don't even know what is security testing, what is fuzzing mean. Right? They just talk, stay at some high level. So some of these functional testing, exploratory testing, ad hoc testing, and just stay at that. Right? The testers need to go in depth in your own domain, in your own testing domain. Right? If you don't do that, there's nobody else to do that. Right? For example, developer is expected to learn .NET or C# or whatever it is, right? In depth. Because you need to be up to date to write a good code, right? The same way, tester also need to go very, very strong in your own testing domain, right? And the domain skills. So let me start with that. Right? So there is a very beautiful book on agile testing, by Lisa Crispin. If you get a chance, read this book. It's a pretty big book, and she talks about what does agile testing mean. She's an expert in agile testing. Right? So I'll take one small part of that book. Right? She kind of divides this into kind of 4 quadrants testing. Okay? You will see that there's a technology. Out of these 4, there's a technology facing, business facing. Right? And you see on one side criticizing the product, on the other side supporting the team. Right? And this part is all about product being right and building a right product. Building product right and building the right product. Right? You will see that the right product is your functional testing, exploratory testing, things like that will tell you are building a right product. Here, performance, load, unit test tells you your design is right. Right? It's going to find a design limitation because you are going to find critical performance defect. Right? Your unit test is going to tell you that your design is not, scalable. Right? So with this, right, where do we stay today? So where do the testers, where can they contribute? They actually contribute to all three boxes. Testers can contribute to all three boxes. Right? So functional test is our primary job, right? The testers, right? And also exploratory testing, usability testing, and so on. And this is one area that we have very less persons. It's important that somebody need to focus on the organization. Okay, do we stop this? But without Q1, the quadrant 1, it's not going to be very effective to do all other things, right? I have written a 10 line of a code. If I don't test the code first, if I start testing the product which is running this code, if I find a defect, it's going to be really expensive. Right? There are lots of charts that you will see, the graph you will see that it is 10x, 100x, right, 20x, the moment you find the defects later. Right? Let's not get into discussion, is it a 10x or 20x? It is multiplication of some number. Right? The moment you find a defect in the product and not on the code directly, it's going to be a lot more expensive. And if it's late, it's even more expensive. And if it is found through non-functional testing, it is even worse. Because every non-functional defect directly leads to a design defect and not a code defect. Right? There are very few non-functional defect is actually just stays at the code. Right? Architect comes back and says, I need to completely redesign this, or this whole class needs to be rewritten because the way it is designed is not right. Right? Expensive, it's sometimes I've seen the defects where it was fixed like for 3 or 4 months and it got into like 5th layer down. We found a defect in antivirus product and went to the 5th layer where there is a core engine, and core engine had to be fixed and every layer had to be tested, and this core engine was used by 18 other products at McAfee. So you know the cost of this one defect. It was found after 6 months. If the core team would have found this defect, we would have saved a lot of time. It is not even 20x, 50x, right? It's a lot higher. We have found such defects. It is just one engineer sitting in the consumer testing antivirus product found this defect. Right? So without this Q1, we can do good in other quadrants, but it's important to focus on Q1. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what we can do. And it is important that the testers do this space a lot earlier. Right? Today I see that, the moment the people get into this agile space, this agile team, we are 8 of us are in one agile team, there's another 8. I have seen some big issues in this where team feel that I am responsible only for this feature functional. Let me just test it. They don't even go beyond that doing exploratory kind of testing. Right? The integration, the SAFe came up with the concept of system testing, system team, right? And system test teams have a lot bigger burden finding functional issues or the core issues of that particular agile team. We have seen big issues like that, right? So it is very important that the teams move towards exploratory testing kind of stuff, do a lot more exploratory testing, brainstorming, things like that, instead of just doing a functional testing. Right? And build these skills. This is missing to it. Right? And especially when you are into agile, when you say that we are responsible for that one component, you're responsible in all the aspects, right? Not just only functional. Okay, so let me slowly expand this. Right? This is the boundary. So we talked about the testers space. Now let me just put another 4 more around this. Right? What are those? The first one is some level of programming knowledge. Right? It is mandatory that going forward a tester should have some level. So all that I am saying is you don't have to be a great developer. It is very hard, even for a developer who is in this space for for like 10 years, it is difficult to learn a new version of a product, like new version of a development tool, right? It's evolving so fast that you have to learn something new technology which you have never even heard, like 3-6 months back. So it is even very difficult for even developers. So the expectation is not that the testers need to be very good at development, but testers should understand what is being written. Don't stay at what is this product, what is it all about. Also go one step beyond and say, how is this built? That's what is my expectation, right? And don't go beyond that, right? And then automation. Testers should focus on automation. Let me talk about some of the slides there. Get into some of the tools like CI, static analysis. Tester can move some of this CI implementation. Right? Let me be part of the CI. Let me understand the CI tool, Jenkins for example, and see what I can contribute. I'm stepping out of my tester zone, coming out of it and trying to help my team in setting up a CI environment. And then getting into this whole agile mindset. Okay? I've seen people writing, a team of 8. While I was coaching one of the teams, I said, just keep me in CC for some of the mails that you sent across. And then I saw one guy sending a mail. When is RTQA? A tester sitting here, sending a mail to the other guy, developer, sitting on this side. It's just a 4-member queue, right? Sending a mail to the guy. When is RTQA? RTQA is released to QA. I asked, what do you mean RTQA? No, I'm waiting for the build. Within 2 weeks of sprint, somebody's just waiting for, official RTQA build. Right? I said, just go sit in that machine and test. What's wrong with that, right? Just go to, he has developed something in the last 6 hours. He spent some time. Why don't we just see if we can test something? It's very difficult to change the tester's mind. Right? We have to break this and come out and say, how do we test to work together? And you develop something, I'll test it. I'm not here to build a mountain here. I'm here to make sure at the end of the sprint we are releasing a 0 defect product, not to show somebody that there are 17 defects of it. Right? So let me start with this programming. What does programming mean? Let's go back to this slide where we spoke about this functional, like going deep. Right? The testers also should have some surface level knowledge on non-testing areas. Right? For example, this should be able to attend design review code reviews. Right? You should be able to just go sit there as a tester. You see, because testers have a great product knowledge. Today, the domains, what we were talking about, they are actually doing a better job. Right? And only testers have. Developers are so involved in technology, so worried about learning new development and design, adding new skills on the design and development. They cannot get this domain expertise. It's not right to expect them to have thorough domain knowledge. Right? Testers having the domain knowledge, going and sitting in design or code review, definitely adds a value. I've seen a 2-year experience at tester who had 0 coding experience. We just made him sit in the design review, code review. I saw apprehension from both the sides. Tester says, what value I will add? Right? Instead of that, I will sit and test, write test cases. So you just go sit, man. What's wrong? Go sit. Let's see. Right? On the other side, developers felt like offended. So what can this guy do? He just 2-year experience, and I am like pushing years in this space. Like, I've been developing out of it. I said, no, just don't worry. I'm just training this guy. Let him also go sit there, right? Let him also learn what you guys do. You should learn something. I just put it differently and said, just allow him to sit. And trust me, he was the 2nd highest defect finder from non-testing practices. All the defects when he collected, design review, code review, static analysis defects, we saw that he found the 2nd highest number of defects. He found a lot of critical defects because he knows the domain. Just having the domain, say that I'm not sure whether I'm right or wrong, but I think this code probably can crash because we're not supposed to implement this way because I know the system. Right? Just having that. Right? For that, we had to teach them basics of .NET, basics of C#. Just learn instead of just not knowing anything about coding. At least go take some 15 days course. Come sit there. Like you don't need to write a good code. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but the thing is, you are not doing justice to the whole task, isn't it? So
Yeah.
for example, let's take a small example. I'm sorry if I just take a moment.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So for example, if I'm a car cleaner at the same time, a mechanic at the same time, I'm driving my own car, so I can do everything. But it's assumed that definitely I'm not going to be the best cleaner.
I agree.
I'm not going to be the best mechanic, isn't it?
Agree. See, I'll give you,
I mean, I'll be
The
saving
same-
my cost for 3 of them and in one
Exactly.
bucket, but then
I'll give you, I'll answer you on the same analogy, right? When this manufacturing industry started, a driver had to be a mechanic. That's how it was. The first version of a Ford car came out, driver had to be a mechanic. There are a lot of the examples that you can see in the net that car just stops on the way somewhere. It doesn't know, you don't know what is the reason. So the drivers were taught to do some basic repair work. Right? But today, I've been driving car for like 10 years, more than 10 years. I just don't know head or tail of no even smallest thing. Right? In fact, I don't know, for the wiper, for the water spray, I don't know whether this is the right one or that's the right one. There are some 2-3 pipes that I see. If even that level, it is still okay because the industry has matured a lot. That industry has given you a fantastic product. Software industry is still not reached there. We still have a lot of, design and development issues that we are not releasing because we take advantage of right? We take advantage of releasing patches. Car, manufacturing industry cannot release a patch to you. Brake failure, there are 4 people dead next time. Isn't it? Right? So probably one day we'll reach there, this industry, hopefully, that's a big prayer that all of us have. When we reach there, probably you want to have the specialist do only the specialized job, right? All that I'm saying is we should not don't just, put your guy across all those things. Right? You should not be jack of all. But a tester, I have one of the slides, tester should test and developer should develop. That's your primary responsibility. But just step out of that and see what additional value that you can add. Right? To whatever extent, right? You cannot only, so much you add it. Today we are not even trying out. That's all my request. Yeah.
I just want to give a different analogy.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking about a typewriting test we used to have in the past, right?
Yeah.
That's who does BCom and BA. They are expected to write another test about repairing a typewriting machine. All different skills. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I'm a BCom guy. I know I can type in 60 words per minute or 60 to 80 words per minute. Why should I learn about mechanics of the machine? This is where actually the cross function will help you. That guy need not stop the work until mechanic come and service. See, at the end, we need to give a document to be provided to the executive. That's the ultimate goal for it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, completely 2%. Like when Mr. was saying that, like the wiper water. But my question was the same, right? Like if you want me to be a developer at the same time, if you want me to be a tester, I can be giving one of them as 100%, another person will be 15%.
So what we did is, we made this as like every sprint at least do one task which is cross-functional. Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. There's nothing that much we're going to waste in it. A sprint of 2 weeks, you have 80 hours. Your productive hours probably 60 hours. That just 2-3 hours you spend on a cross-functional skill. Slowly you build and see whether you're enjoying it. We should not be forcing the team. Till today we have not forced our testers to become steps.
Most of the time, what we have seen, what happens is that when you ask the development guy to venture into testing, because you have got resource crunch or it could be something else, right? So the guy comes up with, when we did a year-end discussion, you asked me to get into testing, so I was concentrating on that, so there will be hampered quality in my development. It's obvious.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I said.
Because
I think we should set the expectations very clear that out of 60 hours, 55 hours or so you are working on your development, you should produce good quality code in that 55 hours. It's just that additional, the remaining 5 hours given to you to learn something else. Right? It is not that we are just changing the world, you spend like 70% of your time on testing. We should not be doing that.
I want to speak on behalf of JP. See, there is a big topic now going on like cross-functionality is killing the specialization in agile world. But there is always 2 aspects, tangible benefits and intangible benefits. If you are saying I'm a good car cleaner, and if you are along with that, if you know the little bits of mechanics, you can put a jack and raise the car and you can clean on beneath also. So it will add on to your cleaning specialty if you know little bit of mechanism.
No, I mean,
So if people are thinking like cross-functionality is killing the specialization part, but if you see intangible benefit of that, you will find yourself to be more functional, more productive if you have this please structure it here. And if you
Maybe I
have,
can just take 2 more minutes.
Yeah,
So
good.
sorry
No,
about
it's
this,
so.
but
As long as Maran allows me, I'm fine to stand here till lunch.
Yeah, but I would prefer to have it in the open house slot, or, because it's going on as a discussion, but we have time for it, dedicated, so.
Yeah, so I have another 15 more slides. Right? I think some of the questions I answered.
No, I come from the banking background, right? I work for JP Morgan Chase as a management guy. So most of the time we have seen this trend not going on, right? We cannot take a chance with somebody's code, making sure that okay, he's a tester, put him in the code, he'll screw up something and tomorrow he'll into trouble,
Perfect.
right?
Perfect. All that is
I
saying
would
is-
like to actually add here with the real-time scenario which I have faced. I'm a tester in an agile team. Okay, so I used to do functional testing. I used to, as you said, click, and I used to see whether things are working fine. One fine day, I stepped out my box and I went and saw whether the code coverage is there or not. So I just did a analyze on code coverage. I saw that unit tests are not written properly, even though the sprint was passed. So then I told my developers in my team, that code coverage is not there, which should be more than 85% according to our DOD. So they were taken aback. Now actually there was shift of change in their mind. Now they know, okay, the tester is actually looking at the code coverage also. So from the next sprint, they were very conscious and they were started doing TDD. I didn't do anything. I just spent 1 minute of it. I just did the code coverage. So it's like a shift of mindset. You actually don't do that much, but actually the involvement in the team of the developer changes. That's how it works. You don't have to go and see the code, but the developer should know, okay, the tester can see the code also. So he will be more conscious while checking in.
And by doing TDD, they have done probably very good design. Because TDD helps you come up with a beautiful design. Right? You write test first and then design, and you start writing a code. Then you actually write the code what is required, not the dead code. Right? So this is it just that somebody looks at from the quality perspective on the code, not on the product. Just because people are too busy writing code. Right? Also, and tell me, by separating these two teams, are we releasing good quality product? We still have customer escalations, we still have high priority defects coming the last minute. Right? It is just that we have to take a step and try out something new, because this problem exists for last 15, 20 years. Right? So,
JP,
we'll
that's
still
5 minutes.
5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So,
overshot, but you got 5 minutes.
sure. So,
Maybe 1 minute from my side to close it.
Yes, I would really appreciate all the discussions, but I really hate to break the rhythm of the conversation. But we have sticky notes. I'll give you one and stick with us till the end. We will make sure all your questions are answered. What do you say?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Thank you.
okay, so Maran, give me 10 minutes. Okay. I'll
Karthik, do
quickly.
you agree? He's the next speaker, so is it fine with you? Because,
What about the crowd?
alright,
So-
sure.
Because there's some good stuff in the next few slides. So some of the examples of being part of doing programming, not programming, right? What you were saying, right? Code coverage measurement, increase the code coverage, simple, right? And all, finding the root cause of the defect cause analysis. There are people I've seen like SDETs doing it. They find a black box defect, go tell the developer that this 3 lines of code is causing this problem. You don't fix it, you tell the problem, right? This is a method or no, this is a code that's causing a problem, go fix it. Right? So, I'll leave it with dead code. 10,000, over 10,000 lines of code that we removed from one product just by one SDET. Nothing. He said, what are you doing with this class or this method? I said, I don't know. They just identified that the code never gets executed. Silently removed. Over 10,000 lines of code, right? So, without writing a single line of code, you can really do a good job, as an SDET. Okay? Automation, we'll quickly go over. Right? This is Mycon's automation pyramid that you probably would have seen. I think he talks about 3 layers, and he creates this, he has this unit test as a fundamental automation over the GUI test. Actually, most of our teams actually start there, right? The independent, testing team starts with the automation, using QTP or Selenium, things like that, right? So there are few benefits of starting the automation here. Your effort is low. Testing a code, right? Not testing a product. Testing code is automating a unit test. Effort is low. Execution time is low because it runs like 500 tests. Unit test runs in like 2 minutes. I've seen that. It takes less than a second to run one unit test. It's so fast because it's just writing a code to test another code. Right? And return on investment is very, very high because you can run all the time. The CI, if you get into CI, CD, without this, you just cannot get it. If you are saying, if at all you claim that you are actually CI, you don't have automation, you're just fooling around. Right? A lot of people do it, I see that. Right? They don't have an automation system, but they have like 20 builds every day. So what do you do with 20 builds? Unnecessarily, you're just dumping a lot of builds on your server. Please stop that. Right? So it's very, very important to do a unit test. And then, the feedback is very early because it runs for every build and it runs in 3 minutes. It gives you, 3 lines of code that you have added. It's code of somewhere else. And then you get into acceptance testing, API kind of testing before moving there. It's again, instead of doing a developer-based and tester-based automation, what does the team need to do? Focus on that. Right? This helps. Right? So these are all the 2 things that teams should focus on. So let me move on to agile mindset. Right? It's very, very, very. The reason why I have put here is this is a fundamental. This is a base. Without this, if you don't have this, everything else will fall. It just fall apart because mindset is most important. In agile world, right? Develop, test. I fully agree. There's no confusion here. Right? Your primary skill should be used for your primary job. Most of your time you should be doing, the best person should do the best job. Right? There's no question. But don't just stay there. That's only request, right? So be part of all the reviews. Just just being a tester. Just be there. Understand the dev process. Just be there. If you cannot add a value, it's okay. Pull your dev testers to go. Make them sit there, right? And then give them the confidence. Hey, don't worry. Right? I'm not measuring you here. If you don't find a defect, I'm fine. I just want you to go sit there. That's the only thing, right? You set that mindset to your testers, right? And then in the same way, make your developers also understand the testing process, right? Help them, make them sit in exploratory brainstorming session. The developers also should provide their inputs on scenarios. You don't have to test, but I'll sit there for half an hour giving feedback about the scenarios that we need to test. Right? Test the product daily. Right? If you are in agile space, there's 2 weeks of sprint. If you don't test daily, you are actually waterfall inside a sprint. Right? You cannot wait for 3 days for you to start testing. Most of the teams again do that. Right? These are all immaturity that we have in the industry. Responsible for functional, definitely tester is responsible for all the testing, but help in unit testing if required. I have seen examples like you have a very old product like which is not like 1 million lines of code. Now we want to move to agile. You don't have automation, right? So you have to build your unit test automation. Right? You cannot just say that developers are only responsible for unit test. If you can add if you know the product, if you know the development, help them in building unit tests for your legacy. It really helps. We actually increase the coverage from 0 to 35 or so. One of the very, very big products. We got like over 1 million lines of code. Because the tester also started adding unit tests whenever we got a time. So developer develops, tester tests, right? No question about it. So quickly I'll take you through the tester's journey to development that we have done in McAfee. Define SDET career. We defined SDET career very, very clearly at McAfee. Right? I was part of SDET panel where 4 years back we decided that hey, we should start moving the testers towards development, right? So we 6 of us came up with this as part of the SDET panel across the globe to define this whole process. We came up with the job description. We came up with the designations till the senior director, right? So we got it. SDET architect. We defined that you have a good career path, so don't worry, start moving. And that gave us some confidence that officially organization is moving towards it, right? The first step. And then we defined what does SDET mean, right? So SDET actually is more skilled than a developer on QA because you have to know both sides of the board. At least to some extent, you should know development also, right? So don't show that developer, tester, and SDET. That you're not climbing up the career. You're actually mixing your skills. You're a better personality, right? And these are all the 5 areas that we identified. This the QA has test planning, domain skill. Whatever minimum that you can add in these 3 competencies as a tester, please add. Right? So then we kind of came up with 2 structures like how do we bring SDET then we thought, okay, we should hire only SDETs, no black box testers anymore, right? And if you hire a black box tester, should be approved by an SDET panel. Right? Every case comes to us with the reason that, oh, I cannot have SDET here. We do a lot of scrutiny. We started coming down. At one point, everybody started hiring SDETs, right? And every SDET hiring, it has to be approved by SDET panel. Okay? We went very, very stringent that, we're too busy for first 1 year because, just with a little bit automation knowledge, they came up and said, he's an SDET. I said, no, he doesn't know the programming, right? So we started hiring people from services company who were developers as SDETs. They were happy coming to a product company and they're doing a really good job. And they just changed the organization's, the developer's mindset. Because I was also a developer and I have equal skill that you have. I come in a different role now. So my questions are also equally valid, technical, and then abundant from the quality perspective. Right? So, and conversion, right? We started helping people that whoever is interested, low-hanging fruits, right? Somebody who already had development knowledge, experience. We said, we'll help you, right? We'll give you 20% time, 30% time. Start focusing on this time. If they started, then we provided them, trainings on product language, code, right? C++, Java, all that. That really helped. The moment the organization was clear, right? We had a very, very stringent hiring process. After the director interview, a couple of interviews here, you see, after that, it has to be SDET panel, somebody has to interview to make sure it is the right fit for SDET. Okay. Even the developers we rejected because some people just wanted to get into McAfee but not the SDET mindset. Good developer said it will not work. After 3 months we are going to lose this guy. Right? So then we kind of looked at the conversion, internal conversion. We had a template where literally have to prove that is competent or exceptional in all of this. Even one is missing, you will not be converted to SDET. People went through like 2.5, 3 years of journey. Today we have around 25% of the organization moved to SDET. The testing organization moved to SDET. And the defect count, if you see, the black box defect came down by 40-50%. Early defects went up. Early defects meaning code review, any peer review, design, code, all these review defects, static transit defects went up to 75-80%. One product we have like 86%, 94% code coverage. That we are saying. We have one product just 94% code coverage. One of the best products that we release. Right? So okay, so I think I've spoken about all of this. Right? Some of the success stories. Each of these is done by one SDET. One SDET, the Mac of India sector, he has fixed. These are maybe 6 months old data. Probably he's done more. 70% memory leak defects were found and fixed by one guy. He was a pure black box QA 3-4 years back. He could find memory defect, memory leaks, and he could fix also. And fix was always validated by developer. At one point, the architect and the designers they decided that we will not review this code because he's as good as a developer with a tester mindset, right? And 10,000 lines of unit test code that this guy has written. The same guy, right? This is one more where the 40% of the code review defects were found by him, just being part of the code review. When I say 40%, a team of 8 people sitting there. So you can imagine 40% of that is got by one guy. So it's not small, right? 65% unit test code coverage, right? And mentoring, the aspiring SDETs. Because now we see that the culture has changed. People want to be SDETs. Initially they were scared. Now they have seen some success. That we have celebrated. We have printed this SDET hero posters. These are all the guys all with these data. Then we have posted across the organization. Now everybody wants to move, right? It created a lot of positive energy than with scale. Right? So don't just summary is that don't stop at finding, just don't be there at finding defects, don't stop there, just move forward. Be part of the team, build cross-functional skills, don't have just one color to your face, build cross-functional skills and get this mindset, right? These four things that we achieve will definitely be a better engineering organization, right? See this cockpit, right? Flight is landing, there are 2 guys sit here, right? There is a pilot and co-pilot, right? Assume that it's a developer and he's a tester, and tester says, I will operate only these buttons. You know what happens in next few seconds. Okay? So just feel that, a tester should feel that I am in a cockpit and I am not here to just operate some buttons. I am here to learn. I am here to release a good quality product. Right? So it gets complicated. There is a space shuttle. We are releasing a lot of complicated products today. See the number of buttons here. And again, there are only 2 people flying, right? 2 people sitting in there. Right? The more complex, the more cross-functional skill helps. So, what if you fail, right? This is a very, very common question when we had this brown bag sessions to all the testers. We had like 15, 20 brown bag sessions to give them a confidence that try this, nothing is going to fail. People had this question that what if I fail, because I am very, very successful tester. My appraisal rating is 4.3 out of 5. What if I take a step here and then I fail? There's nothing failure, no. So people have this mindset that after 1 year, even if that X fails, as a tester, I am a better professional in the next 1 year because I also know a little bit of code. 1 year back, I just knew only testing. Probably your appraisal rating can go down, but which will not happen because manager sees that you are taking a step forward, trying out something new. Okay? So, fail fast, fail often. You have gone with this and you have had a big success. So just thought of sharing that. Right? So if you have any other questions, right, talk to me. You can mail me or talk to me. If you are in this journey in your organization, if you want me to come there and talk to you, I'm happy to do that. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Any offline questions?
Thank you, JP. You can also post your questions in the sticky notes here. I'm my first one. I take the lead. We have gifts for speakers this time, so Amrita. Thank you very much, JP, for coming over. It was a pleasure having you.